Welcome to The Hidden Scrolls, where we focus on history, folklore, and mythology. Ishtar, goddess of war and love. Ishtar, also known as Inanna in Sumerian mythology, is one of the most complex and powerful deities in the ancient Mesopotamian Pantheon. Worshipped for thousands of years across Sumer, Akkad, Assyria, and Babylon, she represents the duality of life itself, embodying both passionate love and merciless warfare. This paradox made her one of the most revered and feared goddesses in the ancient world, whose influence extended beyond religion into politics, literature, and art. Origins and names. The earliest form of Ishtar is the Sumerian goddess Inanna, whose worship dates back to at least the 4th millennium BCE. As Sumerian culture merged with the Akkadian, Assyrian, and Babylonian civilizations, Inanna evolved into Ishtar. Although their identities eventually became intertwined, some scholars differentiate between Inanna as a purely Sumerian figure and Ishtar as her Semitic counterpart. Ishtar's name is likely derived from the Akkadian word for goddess or lady, and in different regions she was associated with various other goddesses, including Astarte in the Levant and Aphrodite in Greece, although her characteristics were far more warlike and commanding. Domains: love, fertility, and war. Ishtar's dual nature is central to her mythology. As the goddess of love, sex, fertility, and beauty, she governs human passion, attraction, and procreation. Her worship involved rituals associated with fertility, including sacred marriage rites and controversially interpreted temple prostitution, though the latter is debated among scholars. However, Ishtar was not merely a goddess of gentle affection. As the goddess of war, she also embodied aggression, chaos, and the battlefield's brutal realities. She was often depicted armed and armored, riding into battle with lions or chariots and wielding weapons. This violent martial side made her both a protector and a destroyer, feared as much as she was adored. Ishtar's ability to control both love and war made her a symbol of total power, capable of giving life and taking it away. She was also associated with political sovereignty, legitimizing kingship, and protecting rulers in battle. Symbols and iconography. Ishtar's imagery is rich and symbolic. She is often associated with the 8-pointed star, her most recognizable symbol, representing Venus, the morning and evening star. Lions symbolizing power, dominance, and ferocity, often seen beside or beneath her. Weapons such as bows, arrows, and swords, highlighting her warlike nature. Nudity, which in Mesopotamian iconography reflected fertility and sexuality, not vulnerability. Wings as seen in many depictions, giving her a celestial, transcendent quality. These symbols emphasized her dominion over both celestial and earthly realms, as well as her paradoxical nature. Temples and worship. Ishtar was widely venerated throughout Mesopotamia, with temples dedicated to her in major cities such as Uruk, Nineveh, and Babylon. The Inanna temple in Uruk was one of the most important centers of her worship and is mentioned frequently in ancient texts. Her cult was dynamic, incorporating music, dance, incense, and ceremonial rites. Priestesses and priests served in her temples, some of whom were gender nonconforming, highlighting the goddess's association with fluidity and transformation. This complexity added to her aura as a deity beyond human boundaries. Ishtar was not only a personal goddess, but also a state deity. Kings often invoked her for blessings, victory, and fertility of the land. In royal inscriptions, Ishtar appears as a divine patroness, bestowing legitimacy and strength upon rulers. Mythology. Ishtar appears in numerous myths, many of which explore her dynamic personality and divine powers. 1. The descent to the underworld. One of the most famous myths involving Ishtar is the descent of Ishtar to the underworld, which parallels the Sumerian story of Inanna. In this tale, Ishtar descends into the realm of her sister Ereshkigal, queen of the underworld. At each of the 7 gates, Ishtar is forced to shed an article of clothing or jewelry until she arrives naked and powerless before her sister. Once in the underworld, Ishtar is imprisoned, and her absence causes all fertility and sexual activity to cease on earth. Eventually, through divine intervention and a substitution, her lover or consort Tammuz Dumuzi is often the replacement. Ishtar is released, restoring life and passion to the world. This myth symbolizes seasonal cycles, death and rebirth, and the balance of opposing forces. It also underscores Ishtar's willingness to face death, highlighting her courage and power. Second, Ishtar and Gilgamesh. Ishtar also appears in the Epic of Gilgamesh, where she attempts to seduce the hero Gilgamesh. When he rejects her, citing her past mistreatment of lovers, she becomes enraged and sends the bull of heaven to punish him. Gilgamesh and his companion Enkidu kill the bull, leading to a series of tragic events. This story emphasizes Ishtar's wrathful and vindictive side, while also critiquing unchecked divine power. It also shows her as a goddess whose love, once rejected, could transform into destruction. 3. The Tale of Tammuz. Tammuz, or Dumuzi, Ishtar's lover, plays a central role in myths surrounding fertility in the underworld. His yearly death and rebirth represent the agricultural cycle. Each year, Tammuz dies and descends into the underworld, and Ishtar mourns him. His return marks the return of life to the earth. This myth reflects ancient Mesopotamians' understanding of life, death, and regeneration, with Ishtar as both mourner and divine force facilitating the cycle. Legacy and influence. Ishtar's legacy extends far beyond Mesopotamia. Her influence can be traced in later goddesses across different cultures. Astarte in Canaanite and Phoenician mythology. Akkad, another Near Eastern war and fertility goddess. Aphrodite, the Greek goddess of love, bears some resemblance, though with less emphasis on war. Venus, her Roman counterpart, carries the planetary association. Ishtar was one of the first deities in recorded history to embody such contrasting domains, and her worship set the foundation for how later cultures conceptualized divine femininity, power, and desire. Her dual role also inspired a literary and cultural fascination that survives in modern times. Themes of love and war, beauty and brutality continue to shape portrayals of powerful female figures in literature, film, and art. Ishtar in modern culture. Ishtar has found a place in modern imagination as a symbol of divine femininity, empowerment, and contradiction. From references in science fiction and video games to feminist reinterpretations of mythology, her story continues to resonate. Her image, fierce, beautiful, commanding, offers a counterpoint to more submissive portrayals of female deities or characters in mythology. Artists and writers often return to her myths to explore themes of sexuality, power, and duality. Her association with Venus, the planet, still links her name to femininity and allure, while her martial traits highlight her as a guardian and destroyer. Conclusion. Ishtar remains one of the most remarkable figures in world mythology. Her dominion over both love and war, creation and destruction, places her at the heart of the ancient Mesopotamian understanding of life's complexity. As a goddess who could stir desire with a glance or unleash terror with a word, she encapsulated the divine essence of passion in all its forms. Her mythology teaches us that power, especially feminine power, is not confined to softness or nurturing. It is multifaceted, paradoxical, and commanding. In a world still learning to balance strength and vulnerability, Ishtar's story remains timeless.